Morning to you folks. Another great morning, another great opportunity to be great. Another great opportunity to be great. Let me just check that I'm good on all the platforms for a second. So before I do that, let me check on it real quick. Facebook, what's happening? What's happening? On all the platforms for a second. We're good on Facebook. Welcome. If it's your first time, I'm just an avid learner of. Welcome. Check 1 2. Facebook, check 1 2. Welcome. All right. Facebook, we're good. Instagram, not Instagram, excuse me. LinkedIn. Let me check if we're good over on LinkedIn. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. Let me know where you're checking in from. Shout yourself out in the comments. And you're good on LinkedIn. And let me check YouTube real quick. Bump it up. Let me check YouTube. We are live and ready to roll on YouTube.
I'm Jared Blakely, Blakely Law Firm, and I can't believe how many potential clients I speak to who are worried that their car accident in
All right. Yep, YouTube is good. YouTube is good. All right, here we go. You guys see the title. Today, ready to roll. All right, today, Wednesday. First of all, let me introduce myself. As one Crookshank here, one and only Move Swiftly speaker, former Division I college football player, and current 5-time published author and educator, here for yet another episode. I've lost count at this point how many we have, but I've started doing regular live streams maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago now. It's just so much that I have to address, especially this time of year, seeing that I am former college football player, a former college scout, have been in the world of college athletics, and now I serve business owners by teaching them how to use teamwork, the lessons that the game of football teaches, particularly the game of college football teaches about teamwork. I teach business owners now how to implement those ways into their business. So that's what I do now. And given that we are in a season where the lessons are just flowing every day, it got to a point where I was doing so many videos, and it got to a point where there's so many things that I wanted to relay on to business owners that I'm like, yo, I gotta get my live stream game up. So here, eventually, I'll start doing it every morning. Soon enough, I'll start doing it every morning. But for now, it's just Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So before we get into today's topic, let's get through some announcements. First things first. Anyone living in the West Palm Beach area, if you are interested, I do free boxing lessons every 2 weeks. Just hit the QR code that you see there on the screen for information, or just shoot me a message and let me know that you're interested, and we'll get you all set up. Again, free boxing lessons for anyone that is interested in the West Palm Beach area. We do them every other Saturday at 9 a.m. and it's something that I strongly recommend everyone learns how to do. All right, that's number one. Next thing, business owners out there, if you have not yet, make sure you go to freeguide.makeyourmove.com. I put together the 10 best ways to use innovative teamwork to reduce turnover in your business right now. Meaning you get your list, you get your things that you can be doing, stuff that you could be implementing right now as we speak. So people are coming into your business, they're coming into their jobs there. You have a hungry staff of people, hungry group of employees that really do know their worth. They feel heard, they feel understood, they feel like they're part of the overall vision, and they're not just walking into their jobs just for the check. You never want to get it to a point where somebody's just going to work, quote unquote, and just collecting a check, or their mindset is just about, I'm doing this for a check. So get that if you have not yet already. All right. And next thing. Patreon.com. Your boy is a public figure now. You look up the name Aswan Crookshank now and public figure will pop up. So now it's official, right? I started this maybe about a week ago. Everything came official, all right? Patreon.com. The folks who are in my Patreon membership, the folks who are in my Patreon community are going to be getting the exclusive content. You want to join a group of business owners, join an exclusive community in which people are getting better every single day in their businesses. They're learning teamwork. They're learning how to make sure they're managing people the right way. They're learning how to get better, what they need to be doing on their end to make themselves better for a group. All of that stuff will be covered in the Patreon community. So just go to patreon.com/as144 and check all that out. All right. So as far as today's topic, let me put the banner up real quick for a second. Today's topic. Today is what in the college football world likes to call early signing day. And you are reading that correctly. It is this. I don't know when this happened. I don't know why it happened. I don't know where along the lines. And I graduated from high school in 2007, and I participated in a signing day in the February. So signing day normally is the first February of the new year. That's where a high school kid, more particularly a high school football player, they signed. I guess it's the fall sports, if you want to call it that. But there's a big ceremony at the high school where the kids are signing their national letters of intent to play for whatever school it is they're committed to, or whatever they chose to go, wherever they chose to go, and all that kind of stuff. Again, something I participated in as a player. Understand it. It's a great time, especially for a high school player that has worked really hard. And, it's great to be honored in front of the school and all that kind of stuff. Your family's involved and you're moving on to a better situation and you're making your high school proud. I get all that. I wouldn't, the tagline or the title to this live is not me saying that signing day in general is stupid. I believe in it. I love it. I love especially if you're a coach that built a program from scratch and now you got a bunch of kids that are signing to colleges and all that. I get all that. That's an incredible thing. But the issue has come now that the mainstream media has gotten involved and they've kind of put in their hands on it, and you get advertisers, you get money involved, you get people wanting to know where this one's going. And there's just a lot of things going on, a lot of a media circus that goes on when it comes to signing day, because college football is such a big deal. Nowadays, it's so popular nowadays, this early signing day period has caused more problems than solutions. It has been more harmful to the game, especially in the offseason, than it has been helpful. All right. So before we get into the topic today, let me run you through for anyone that is signing today, for anyone that is participating in a signing day today. I gotta take you through a wintrapreneur tip. And if you don't know what the term wintrapreneur is, because you've been listening to me long enough, all right? Every Wednesday, I give what I call, or what I've coined the phrase wintrapreneur. You've heard the term entrepreneur, possibly have heard the term entrepreneur, but what a wintrapreneur is taking both of them. An entrepreneur is a person that runs their own business, built up their own thing, and is living very well based on their thoughts and based on the business that they started. That's what an entrepreneur is. Now, an entrepreneur is a little bit different. An entrepreneur is somebody that has a job yet also has an entrepreneurial vision, has a vision for their business. And they've been blessed enough, they've been fortunate enough to be in a situation in which their business goals is aligning with whatever the goals is for the company that's paying them every 2 weeks. So that's what an entrepreneur is. Myself, having the sports background that I have, playing where I've played, and being involved in the game and the way I've been involved in the game, I've taken the win, turned it into wintrapreneur. All right. So every Wednesday I give a wintrapreneur tip. And today's tip, I want to make sure I encourage you guys to go read the article that I put out yesterday on medium.com. Also put a video about this out on YouTube. It's titled The Top 5 Early Signing Day Tips. All right, top 5 early signing day tips. And I'm just going to run you through the list real quick to the 5 things really, really quick, and then we'll get in to what we're going to more so discuss today. All right. Number one, as a high school player that may be signing today, number one, first thing you got to put in your head, you got to put it in your head. Your family members have to put it in your head. Your coaches have to put it in your head. Everybody has to put it. You have to know this beyond knowing and accept it, is the fact that you dominated at your high school will not automatically translate into you dominating at the collegiate level. It will not happen. You are not proven. I'm not saying you're not going to be a good college player. I'm saying to you, you have not proven anything yet, given that you dominated at the high school level. You have got to prove yourself at the collegiate level if you actually are about it. All right, this is very, very important for you to know going in, because I've seen a lot of guys go from that offseason, from that period of them signing to whatever university, that offseason, they really slacked off. That offseason going into the college atmosphere, they really slacked off, and they didn't make it past their first semester. I've seen a lot of guys just get kicked off the team because they were not measuring up to what they thought they were going to be when they got signed. And it was all a matter of work ethic and mindset. So that's number one. Next thing you got to understand, and we're going to dive into it a little later in the show, is this transfer portal. All right, transfer portal is real. There's a clip that I saw that is legendary, because it was the SMU coach, the same SMU that's getting ready to compete for an ACC championship this week. He was saying to a group of high school kids, high school players, he said, look, we have a transfer portal now where we can go and recruit guys that actually have college film, and actually we've seen and we've recruited, and we may have lost them to whatever university and it didn't work out, and they enter a portal. They're basically coming to us and saying, cool, this free agency, it's a business now. It's a business, and you're officially professional athletes at this point, meaning you as a high school player, you have to be damn good. All right, you have to be damn good, and you have to dominate on a level that we have not seen before. You can't be taking plays off. All right. So number one is you're not proven as a high school player. Number two, the transfer portal is real. They can move on from you and go find some better players in the portal. Next thing you have to consider when it comes to signing with whatever school you're going to go to is your education. All right. I'm not talking about an education that you're getting in the classroom. As important as that is, it's more so about the education that you're receiving outside of the classroom, the kind of people you're meeting, the kind of things that are around the university, the support staff. In fact, I remember there was a running back I played with. Shout out to Chris Daly if you're listening. But there was a running back I played with. I grew up in Maryland, and he didn't want to go D3. You know, he had this mindset that he didn't want to go D3. However, he was a shorter back, really good player, but he was a shorter back. And there was a school that really wanted him named Catholic University. Catholic University is in DC. And I remember we had our high school graduation at Catholic University. And it just so happened that I stood next to him in line as we were, going through our graduation. We were actually, shout out to Chris if you're listening, man, because we and Chris were co-captains. We were co-captains our senior year in high school. So I remember I was talking to Chris during our high school graduation, and he was looking around. He goes, man, for the longest time, I said, I didn't want to go here. And then he started thinking, he goes, you know what? This is DC. It's around some clubs. I want to get into the club business. I want to maybe run my own club and do this and do that. And then he's like, I realized, just being here, being in this atmosphere, it'll be beneficial towards my future. And I advise all of you signing today, I advise all of you and parents to impart on your kids, hey, it's about what's going on outside of the classroom to give yourself an education, because the football thing, I'm telling you from experience, folks, the football thing will go by incredibly, incredibly fast, even if you happen to be the 1% that is good enough to play in the NFL. Even that's going to go by very fast. I know a ton of those as well. All right. So that was number 3, your education outside the classroom. Number 4, the alumni network. All right. The alumni. Eventually, you're going to become an alumni, and getting to know what your alumni group is doing, the school that you pick, the people that you are eventually going to get associated with, and how they can possibly open doors for you. That's another important thing. And then number 5, the most important thing, go where you're wanted, not where you want to go. I've said that so many times in regards to recruiting. Regular consumers, regular listeners to my work may be tired of hearing me say it, but it's something that is very important, because that part translates into whatever career, whatever job you choose to pick after you've graduated. It's often called the 40-year plan and not the 4-year plan. The 4-year plan needs to be about, hey, where am I wanted? Where do I fit in? Where can I go in and make a difference and make a contribution and all those things? So that's the top 5 tips. That's basically today's Wintrepreneur tip. Now let's get into today's topic. All right. Why signing day? Why early signing day is it just doesn't make any sense. It makes any sense. And there's 3 perspectives that we're going to look at this from. We're going to look at it from the perspective of the current games, current college games. That's number 1. All right. Right now, I'm recording this, like I said, Wednesday, December 4th. And in 3 days, there will be conference championship games at the FBS level. All right. The way that these games turn out is going to have a lot of ramifications on whether guys get jobs, whether teams are moving on, whether this one's going to the playoffs, where the bowls are going. So having an early signing day before this slate of games can really throw off a lot of the decisions that get made from a recruiting standpoint. So we're going to talk about it from the games perspective. Then obviously, because of the games, the coaches and the players are affected based on the results of these games. And then on top of that, the next week, the transfer portal opens up. And then there's a bunch of guys that become available. And then you have this one signing here. And then this guy who you may have liked in the portal becomes available. And now there's even more decision and more chaos and more confusion. So the timing of this whole thing is just a bad thing for college football in general. Now, I got 3 clips to play you guys real quick. And then we will discuss. And these are people, when I play these 3 clips, understand these are folks who are like directly in the business. I can technically in the business, but I'm more so I'm sort of on the outside looking in, because I spent time as a player, I spent time as a coach, I spent time as a scout, and I've been able to land and then create my own lane through my books, through thought leadership, through my understanding of business, to be able to teach football, teach some of the recruiting things, and teach some of the things that football teaches, teach it to a business owner that doesn't know much about football, and then be able to align those lessons. So I don't consider myself as directly in the business. I consider myself as someone that's indirectly always looking at the business to see what I could be taking away to apply to my business. Now, the folks that I'm going to be showing you, the clips I'm going to show you, are people who are directly involved in the business, the ones that actually make the decision on who's ranked and who's not ranked and who has this recruiting class and who's this. They get access to all the coaches. Actually, one is actually a current college coach who used to work at ESPN. His name is Trent Dilfer. He played a long time in the NFL and all that kind of stuff. Here's what they have to say. And I agree with them wholeheartedly. And this is why these things need to change. So I'll let Greg McElroy take over. Go ahead.
Greg, what do you see in terms of the way universities approach this now that we do have the early signing day? How does that affect the process?
It's barely a blip on the radar. This used to be a college football holiday. The first Wednesday in February, we all circled it. We all loved the off-season banter about, well, my recruiting class is better than your recruiting class, and Luganville doesn't know anything because the ESPN 300 looks nothing like any of the other publications, right? That was kind of the constant banter. But that's no longer the case, and I don't like it personally. As someone that has grown up watching the NFL has done a remarkably good job of creating interest in their product year-round. And with us moving signing day from the beginning of February all the way into the middle of December, when there's still the coaching carousel, when teams are still preparing for bowl games, it means that we essentially don't talk enough about college football from the national championship game until media days. That's 6 months in which we're barely talking about the sport that is the second most popular sport in America. So I don't like it at all, because I thought signing day gave us something to look forward to. And now, like Luke's alluded to, not a lot of people will be paying attention tomorrow, given the fact that all these signing classes are, for the most part, ironed out.
And one of the things before I play the next one I'm going to play you is of a current. He's a current, like I said, current college coach, but he's not in the Power Four conferences. He came from ESPN to the college coaching world to become a head coach, and he gives a more detailed take as someone that's currently dealing with the schedule the way it is. But before I'll play you the next one. I want to make sure I re-emphasize what he said in terms of creating interest. All right, creating interest in the sport. Creating interest in the sport. When you have a period right now where college football is at its highest heights, all right, like I mentioned, we got a a slate of conference championship games. We just finished a rivalry week. Once these conference championship games get played, then you got a bowl selection Sunday where we know where the bowl games are going to be, and people are going to get in their travel arrangements. Fans are going to be getting their travel arrangements to go see their team compete in whatever bowl game they have. Then they're going to be excited about watching the playoffs, and then the playoffs is going to be thrilling within itself because now it's whoever now. It's no longer the computers and a BCS situation where you have an opinion on who's actually good enough to play and all that. They fixed that. That's a great thing. But then you have this early signing day period, which makes no sense. Like you said, it makes no sense because the majority of these guys that are signing, let's just be 100. Let's keep it all the way 100 here. The majority of these guys signing, whether you're signing today in December or you're signing in February, the majority of them, this will be the last time that they're relevant in the football world. The last time. This will be the last time that they're relevant playing the game of football. 1% of these dudes are going to go play in the NFL. 1%. So what's the point of having two signing day periods and water down what? And the one thing I disagree with what he said, I don't think it's the number 2 most popular sport. I would argue with him and say it's the number 1 most popular. It is the most popular sport, period. College football has taken over the NFL because we see free agency ruining the NFL. We see free agency just not the product isn't what it used to be because you get absolutely zero loyalty whatsoever. I know I could be just speaking for myself, but I know I've had conversations with fellow peers and colleagues where they agree with me where the NFL, it used to be something that there was some level of loyalty to it, but now college football kind of has taken over that sense of loyalty, that sense of pureness when you grow up watching the game. So the only thing I would disagree with what he said is that college football is the second most popular. I think it's actually becoming the most popular sport. However, it's being watered down when you have this signing day where you get kids. And one thing I have to say about that before I play the next clip is when you get kids, little kids who haven't done shit yet, to be honest with you, when you're considering what they're going or when you're considering what it takes to succeed in college and what it takes to actually be a successful football player at the collegiate level. You have them, grabbing one hat and then throwing it here. You have this hat there. You have them taking out a backpack and then pulling out a bunch of jerseys, just playing little games with where they're going to commit and being really cocky and arrogant with it. All that shit is unnecessary. It sends the wrong message and it ruins the sport in general. That's the part that actually turns me off about signing day now, because again, it used to be one day of the year, first Wednesday in February, you get a kid, sign them, and again, the family's there, they're excited, and they're just moving on to the next level. So it used to be a great honor, a great event, but now it becomes something where we're now continuing to stroke. We're basically stroking. Hold on, just realized this. YouTube, my thing is open. We're now stroking high school kids and making them feel superior, that they're better than other people, and making it okay to flip this one. So I'm gonna take this Michigan hat and I'm gonna throw it here, and then I'm gonna take this Ohio State hat and then throw it here, and I'm gonna take this Penn State hat and then put it on, but then fake it. I'm gonna take this and then reveal, oh, I'm going to Alabama. Stupid shit like that. That is just unnecessary, cocky again, because you haven't proven anything yet at the high school level. So that's the one thing that's number one. Especially from he's sort of the reason I want to play that clip is because he spoke about it more so from a consumer standpoint, more so from a making it so people continue to be interested in the game, that people aren't turned off by the game, that they continue to watch the game, watch these kids develop from 18 to 22 and see how they may have made a mistake their freshman year and then came back their senior year, the rivalry. He spoke about it just from the consumer's perspective. Trent Dilfer is going to speak about it from the perspective of he's currently in it. He's currently coaching, and he's not coaching at a power four. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he's at Tulane. Let me look this up real quick. I don't want to get it wrong. Trent Dilfer, I believe, it's either Tulane or Tulane. I think it's Tulane. I'm pretty sure it's Tulane, but I don't want to give you any. No, excuse me. Yeah, UAB. See, that's why I got to look stuff up. He's at UAB. He's at UAB. So Trent Dilfer, to give you some backstory on Trent Dilfer. Trent Dilfer was a quarterback in the NFL for 2 teams, I believe. He played for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which he's going to speak about in a second. And then he also played for the Baltimore Ravens. He won a Super Bowl with the Baltimore Ravens, which is when I really started paying attention, a little more attention to him, seeing that I grew up in Maryland. That Super Bowl that he won with the Ravens, he was a backup. He started off as a backup, and there was a period there in which the Baltimore Ravens didn't score a touchdown. During their Super Bowl year, the Ravens didn't score a touchdown for like 3 months or something crazy like that, and they put Trent Dilfer in the game, and then the Ravens went on and won a Super Bowl based on their defense. So after that, Trent Dilfer, in my opinion, became just a great add to ESPN. I thought he was, man, look, I used to listen to him, and he'd have these great like quarterback clinics, these great quarterback camps where some of the top quarterbacks would come. I believe Nike, as either Nike or somebody paid him to bring quarterbacks out, really see what they were about. And I believe it was the Elite 11 or something like that, in which Trent Dilfer actually evaluated quarterbacks. And, again, people who are fans of the game, people who scout the game, people who watch the game, were able to see how these quarterbacks developed from his camp I'm pretty sure it was called Elite 11. Let me look it up again, too. I'm pretty sure it was Elite 11 Trent Dilfer. Yep, Elite 11 with Trent. Yep, that was it. Yeah, so he had this thing. Yeah, I remember. So he had this thing called Elite 11, and ESPN would cover it, and got a chance to see a lot of great guys from the start, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. So all of a sudden, he goes and he takes a head coaching job at UAB. So this offseason, the name of the show is the name of the show. Let me give you the name of the show real quick, because I always like to give credit to the people I consume. Believe it or not, I take in a lot of information. There's no way I could do what I do on a consistent basis if I don't make sure I'm listening and I consume some of the things that I take in. So it was Next Man Up by Adam Brenneman. Next Man Up. So he does a lot of interviews with coaches, and he interviewed Trent Dilfer about his experience at UAB. And then he asked him something that everyone wants to know, not just him, but everyone wants to know, what is a solution that you can foresee when it comes to college football? And I thought Trent Dilfer gave a great answer. So I'm going to play these 2 clips, and then we're going to dive more into how we can solve the problems that we see in college football.
Yeah, and I don't want to ask you what's the solution for college football, but if you could change one thing about it or make one change right now, what would it be?
I like the portal.
Yeah.
I like NIL. I wish I had NIL when all these Fresno people were in my jersey and I was getting $471 a month, including Pell Grant. You know what I mean? Like, I was broke, and I was married. My wife had to stop being the captain of the swim team for a future Olympic swim coach to go coach swimming so we could have $1,400 or $1,400, just about $1,500 a month to live off of in college. So I love that these kids have the opportunity to have a little extra money in their pocket. It's the timing of it all. I've said this to my staff, I've said this to the players. Tony Dungy, I learned a lot from Tony. One of the best things I learned from him was making wise decisions, not making emotional decisions. At the end of every season, he would in a team meeting say, "Hey guys, this is going to end one of 2 ways. We're going to win the Super Bowl, and when you win the Super Bowl, everybody has too high of opinion of themselves, and they're emotionally wrapped up in themselves. They're all legends in their own mind. It'll happen to you guys too one day when you win the Super Bowl. The flip side of that is if you don't win the Super Bowl, you're miserable. Like knives in the eyes miserable. If you're a true competitor. If you're a true competitor, you've invested everything you have into trying to win the last game of the year, and you don't win that last game, you should be miserable. And I always make the joke, and my wife will roll her eyes and say, when we lost, if we didn't win the last game there, my wife was ugly, I didn't like my kids, my food didn't taste good, I was grumpy all the time for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so Tony would say, don't make any decisions for 2 weeks. I think this is a great time to spend your money and go to Mexico, go to Hawaii, go play golf, go fishing. Whatever you do, get away from football when it's over for 2 weeks and don't make any decisions.
So, all right. So before I play, there's another one I have to play, but I have got to comment on what he said because there's a lot to pull from it. First of all, you start to see what made him a great ESPN commentator. I can only imagine what he was like in the locker rooms. I think there was a 30 for 30 where the Baltimore Ravens had some of the players that were from that Super Bowl team, and he was there. And you can see that, hey, guys rallied around him. Guys liked him. He may not have been Peyton Manning or whatever, but his personality and his ability to build a team and just being a great guy, a good football locker room guy, which you need those. Those guys make incredible coaches. Next thing, and that leads me to the next thing that I have to address, is the fact that him as a coach, he coaching now, when he got posed the question of how you can solve the problem, he went back to things that he learned from his coach, which was Coach Tony Dungy, which we can all agree is even from the people who've never met him, is just a great guy in general. So when we're talking about what coaching means, when we're talking about what teaching means, when we're talking about what parenting means, when we're talking about what being an owner, a business owner, what being an employer, what being anybody that's a manager means, we're talking about making sure you are instilling principles and instilling values in the people that are working underneath you, that depend on you to make quality decisions. That's what we're talking about here. He got posed a question. Again, That was a great question. Great job by Adam asking him that. And it's a great show titled Next Man Up that I recommend, encourage you guys to tune into when you have time. But also understand that when you're coaching, you're setting a precedent, you're setting principles, you're setting up people for what they're going to be doing for the rest of their lives. He brought up Tony Dungy, and he brought up a story about how, look, you're very emotional when you don't win the Super Bowl. So now as we combine that and we connect that to the college game, what are we seeing? We're seeing a situation, and that's where he's going to go within a second. We're seeing a situation where we have conference championship games. We have the highest of heights when it comes to college football. And now a coach has to make the decision at an early signing day period. That's just ridiculous. But anyway, I'll let him tell it.
Process it all, then come back and make some decisions. I think that's just a good life principle for all of us, right?
Yeah.
Don't make any big life decisions right after something very dramatic happened.
Yeah.
Well, when's the portal open?
Yeah.
Right after the season. Yeah. When everybody, coach, player, DFOs, student workers, everybody's emotional.
Yeah.
Everybody's heartbroken.
Good or bad. Yeah.
Everybody's like not making wise decisions. And now you add money into that, and you're going to get a lot of poor decision making by us too. Like all of a sudden a kid that's, week 7, man, this guy's a good player. He's great. Drops the ball in week 12, and all of a sudden he's the worst player ever. You're trying to replace him in the portal.
Yeah.
Right? So I wanted to make sure I was being true to my word. So I went back, and cut-ups were so important to me because I just started grinding through cut-ups on our team. Yeah. I wanted to have a very clear perspective of our team. I started watching practice clips. We have a lot of really good young players. We played 24 freshmen or redshirt freshmen.
Jeez.
So we have a lot of really good young players. So I back and watch these players in practice. I'm like, okay, I want to make sure I'm valuing them correctly and not being emotional when, boom, 3,000 kids pop up there and you're like, oh, that kid's better than my kid. Well, no, hold on a second. Yeah. Let's evaluate our players. Let's have a non-emotional evaluation about them. Let's grade them. Let's make sure I did my staff. Every staff member had to do a big time, and my evaluations are relentless now. Like they are big time evaluations that I make the staff do. So I take mine, I take the staff, and now I have a composite of the intangible makeup of the kid that I'm already coaching, the physical traits, the vision for this player, the mission for them to get there, their ceiling and their floor. Like, okay, now I'm not emotional anymore. I know who my team is. Okay, now start cutting up the portal. And it was amazing, all these kids that jumped in the portal, that as I started watching cut-ups, I'm like, yeah, that's a good player, it's not better than mine. That's a good player, it's not better than mine. That's a good player, not better than mine. He might have more experience. He might be at a bigger logo school. He might have had more stars coming out of high school. But an objective evaluation of my players opposed to the players I was watching, now I can make some wise decisions in that process. And then there's the economic piece that I talked about. Now, I will say this. I've had players in my
All right, so a couple things to break down here. First things first is, and Trent, he already started to alluding to the solution to the issue. So the issue is clear. All right. The timing is just terrible. The timing is absolutely terrible. To have an early signing day today, and then a week from today, you have a portal open up. You have players who are already announcing, current players whose seasons has ended, or they may have a bowl game to play or whatever. They're already announcing that they will be in the portal. And then you have an early signing day period. Okay, so we can all agree, and you can leave it in the comment section if you disagree with anything I'm saying at all, that the timing of this whole thing, it just does not make any sense at all. Now, when it comes to what we do over here in the Move Swiftly world, we'll talk about a problem. I'll bring up an issue. I'll bring up a conflict, but I would not be doing a service to you. I would not be doing my job. I would not be giving you the results that I guarantee when it comes to my workshop, when it comes to the clients and the people that I serve, if I didn't talk to you about a solution, and not just a solution, but also how you can align this solution to your business and how this can essentially is eventually develop and help your business bring in more qualified clients, or make sure you're not losing folks because they just simply don't know where they fit in, or because they think that the grass is greener and all that. So Trent Dilfer alluded to something very strong when he was giving his input, and when he was kind of talking about how he navigates the problem. All right. He said practice film. All right. Now this is going to be important for any high school coach, between high school and youth football. Here's the biggest difference. All right. The biggest difference between high school youth football to college football is practices are filmed. All right. Say it again, nice and slow. Practices are filmed when you get to college. There are no days off. None. This is why college football is such a smack in the face to a lot of high school kids, because very rarely you're going to actually go to a high school and find a high school program that's actually filming every single practice. Every single practice. You know, again, I played high school football. I coached high school football. There are those practices where when you were in high school, you got to take days off, especially if you were the star, especially if you were him, quote unquote, the one with the offers. Yeah, that's the one that Notre Dame won. So that's the one that USC won. So whatever the school is, you good. You got yours. You are not practicing as hard. You're not on film. All right. You are not needing to compete on a daily basis. You're getting to show up on game day, do you, and then practice is kind of a breeze. In fact, I had one of my best friends. He went to a kind of a weaker school than I did when I was in high school. There were times where he wouldn't even practice at all. Like, nothing wrong. There'd be nothing wrong with him, but he would just show up to practice whenever he feels like it, like at the high school level. And you can get away with that at the high school level, but at the collegiate level, what Trent Dilfer just explained is that practices are filmed. So even though the portal's opening up and you may see some high school recruits coming in and all that, before he jumps in that portal and starts evaluating guys and starts making this emotional decision because, you know, the result of the game wasn't what he wanted and all that, he goes back and he watches the practice film. He watches how this person how this person performed during practice, how much effort they show, how much they're putting in on a daily basis, how much work they're putting in on a daily basis. And then he makes his decision. You hear what the man says. He said, look, that guy's not better than mine. That guy's not better than mine. So without you having actual film, without you actually having film from practice to evaluate, then you have a problem. Then you run into a problem. Here's the way we can use that as a solution when it comes to businesses. When you are actually evaluating if someone's a good employer or not, if someone's bringing value to your business, if someone is actually measuring up or doing or being productive to your business, is benefiting your business in some way, you have to actually have measurables on the day-to-day basis. You have to actually have something that you can measure the person on that's going to give you the tools that you need to make an informed decision and not an emotional decision. Too often do you business owners that are listening to me make the same mistake that a lot of college coaches make, to where you're going to cut a guy, you're going to bring in a transfer portal guy because you're emotional, because you don't like this one's daddy, or you don't like the way that what this one said about you. All a bunch of shit that has absolutely nothing to do with the result that you're trying to get from your business. Okay, that is the issue. The issue, in many ways, is you as an owner not taking it upon yourself from a day-to-day perspective to film everything, to evaluate everything, to create measurables about everything, to make sure everything is documented. So they're like, I mean, I say document, I mean insanely detail-oriented documentation of what this person is doing every single day. So then you have it all right there in front of you. So when emotion comes up and your personal feelings come up about a particular play or about a particular employee or about a particular situation, you can take your personal shit, take your personal feelings, put that to the side and say, okay, does this person bring value to my business? Does this person bring value to my organization? And then you make your decision. You cannot be making your decisions off emotion. And that's where we see the mistake in college football happening. All right. One team, at least one team, if we're talking about teams in the playoffs, but let's even break it down even further. Well, we can say one team, we'll say 1% of the teams, because college football, it's different because there's a lot of bowl games and there's conference championships and all sorts of things that come up. But if we're being honest, there's only one team that's going to end the season happy. And that's the team that wins the national championship. If that's the aspiration, if you're one of the Power 4 schools, if you're a school that has an opportunity, if you're FBS and you have an opportunity to play in the FBS national championship, one team is going to be happy with whatever the result is at the end of the year, which means all the other ones are going to be very emotional during the early signing day period, or during when the portal opens up. They're going to be very emotional. They're not going to like certain players because this player, cost them this, and this one did this, and this one didn't turn out this, even though you coached him to do this, he went and did something else, he made a mistake, whatever it is, you're emotional. Okay, it happens. It's part of the game. It's an emotional game. It wouldn't be so enjoyable. It wouldn't be the best sport out there if you didn't get emotional when certain things happen. It's supposed to be like that, which means you have to understand people's emotion. And what I would say, as I'll close you guys out soon, but what I would say to the people who and whoever came up with this decision, I don't know why it's a decision. I don't even know why it's something that gets covered on ESPN, which it'll take me down a route about the national and the mainstream media that I would keep you on here for another hour if I started talking about that. But what I would say to anybody who decided or thinks that early signing day or this early signing day thing has any merit or it makes any sort of sense whatsoever, I would say to them, you got to respect the game and respect the people who are involved in the game and respect their emotions. It's like in business, all right? Just like in business, and you may have budget cuts, or you may have to make decisions in which you have to let some people go. You may make a decision to work with a certain company that's going to mean that you don't necessarily need the services that some other person offered because you were able to buy the services somewhere else. Whatever it is, I would strongly advise you guys to consider when you're making these decisions, all right? And we're talking about turnover, we're talking about replacing somebody else with somebody new and bringing a more valuable piece, bringing a more a different piece to your organization, making sure it's the right fit, making sure it's the right organization, making sure everything is fit in a certain way where everything is in alignment with the goals. I would advise all of you to be very considerate about the emotions of a person. I would advise all of you, be very considerate about how an emotional decision can affect the organization years down the line. There's been tons of examples and tons that I've shared, tons that you probably know about too, where you made it, and this is true even in your own personal life, where you made an emotional decision and you've had to live with that emotional decision for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life, you've had to live with this emotional decision and you cannot escape it. I strongly encourage you guys to look at the issues that you're seeing come up when it comes to college football and them making decisions and how this portal now affects certain high school kids. There's certain high school kids who are not getting opportunities. Certain high school kids who are clearly just not going to get an opportunity to play at the collegiate level because a coach offered them this, said, hey, we want you as our guy. Next thing you know, a portal opens up and this guy's a little better. And then this coach is getting pressure from its boosters and its fan base. I got to win right now. Love you, high school kid. Wish you the best, but you ain't proven shit yet. This guy that I want from the portal, he's a player. I know he's going to come in right now and perform. You're getting that spot, you're getting that position, and we're going to go win some games. Forget about the development of the high school kid. That's just not going to be that. That's just something he's going to have to live with. And in fact, I remember tons of opportunities, tons of things that happened when I played. You know, there were redshirt early incoming freshmen, you know, when you're out there practicing, and sometimes, you know, you would get them reps if you would try to get them reps during a certain period. And the coach would say, hey, look, man, that's just part of being an incoming freshman. You're not always going to get the reps. It's just life. All right. So I you know, as I close you guys out, I strongly recommend anyone that is, whether you're directly involved with college football or you see sports as a mirror, as something that teaches life lessons. You love the concept of using sports to teach life lessons. You love aligning your business with what sports does. I would strongly recommend that you consider thinking about when emotional decisions need to be made, or when emotions are high. We'll say it like this: when emotions are really high, and then making important dates like signing day, like when a kid can sign to a certain school, or making playoffs, or whatever the big test day is for your business, whatever it is. And again, I'd love to hear more about that. Just, you guys message me if you're a business owner and you want me to teach your staff how to navigate these things. I have a Patreon membership. We'll get into that in a second, but I strongly recommend the long and the short of all of this, the entire episode today, is always consider when emotions are high, and then pick your important dates, make your important dates, give it some time, give it some distance as you move to the next level, and then start making your decisions based on emotions being out of it. Remove the emotions out of it and make logical decisions, and you'll start to see your business thrive time after time after time after time. So all that being said, as I mentioned earlier, if you want more, patreon.com. Let me move this banner real quick. Patreon.com/as144. Tap in with me there. We'll be doing more exclusive content. We'll have tons of other members and tons of people to come with your questions and really help when it comes to the issue of turnover and bringing in the right people and knowing exactly who you need to be bringing in and all that stuff. I'm all about that. This is the main website. The main website to check out deeper into all my work. It's makeyourmove.com. It's makeymove.com. As one Crookshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker. Checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.